Okay, I'm going to go through this video pretty quick and just want a few things because everyone in this class has either had geometry or is currently in geometry, so this is really all review. And in fact, a lot of this is actually review from concepts that you had from like junior high. Shapes, two-dimensional figures. These are some shapes. Area. Remember that the area is actually the space inside it. If we wanted to paint the bottom of these figures, that's what the area is. How much paint would we need in here? How much paper would we need in here to cover the whole bottom? That's area. Circles, you know what these are. And you should know that we use 3.14 for pi. And pi is written like that. And area of a circle, it's important to remember that radius is from the middle to the outside. You know, this is the formula. But most of the time in engineering, it's very hard to measure radius because most of the time we don't actually see where the center is. Most of the time in engineering, it's much easier to measure all the way across the diameter. So in many cases, you have to calculate the radius by taking half the diameter. Ellipses are something that you're probably not familiar with yet. They have two axes. It's like a circle that's been squished down. So these two are not the same. They're kind of like the diameter, but this one is the short one and this one is the long one. And they're not the same. And this is the formula you're going to use right here, and this is on the activity. Area equals pi A times B. But notice A just goes from the middle to the outside. It's kind of like that radius there, A, and B goes right there. So be sure that you're not measuring the whole thing as A and B. It's just half of it. Polygons, you're familiar with these. Any enclosed shape made up of straight sides. Angles, you should know these from geometry. Did these all year in geometry. Triangles. And you should be familiar with your different kinds of triangles for geometry. And we use triangles a lot in engineering because they are the strongest structural shape. We use these for trusses, which we start talking about in POE and talk about in a number of the other classes later on. And this is what a truss looks like. Notice that it's a shape you see a lot in building. And notice it's made up of all triangles there because it's very strong. Here's two terms that you may or may not be familiar with from geometry. Inscribed means we've drawn a polygon or a triangle inside a circle, inscribed inside. Circumscribed means we put it on the outside of the circle. Formulas for area of a triangle, you know this from probably junior high. Remember though that the height is always perpendicular to the base. It's not this side here, but it's straight up and down perpendicular to the base. Quadrilaterals, any shape with four sides. These are the same names for them that we have seen in geometry. Parallelograms, remember base and height. Again, height goes straight up and down perpendicular to the base. And a regular polygon, you know this from geometry again, it's a polygon with all sides equal and all angles equal. And we can inscribe it inside a circle. And we can circumscribe it outside a circle. And we know that we name the different ones by the number of sides. And you're going to get a different formula here than the one you've seen in geometry. Remember in geometry this is 1/2 perimeter times apothem. But here we're actually going to use tangent. If you're going to use this formula, the calculator needs to be in degrees. And you need to make sure that this bottom part all gets done as one thing before you do the divide. So it's n, that's the number of sides, so in this case it would be 6. S is the length of one side, and here we don't need to know that apothem length. It's a little annoying in geometry. We can just do it with just how many sides it is plus the length of one side, because this actually does the other part for you. This is a bonus question on your activity, so you may want to write this down so you make sure you have it. And that's all there is.